Hey everybody, this guy right here, Ray Fluck, television beat writer for Bleeding Cool, and this thing you're watching is our weekly recap of The Walking Dead Season 8. And lo and behold, after what felt like 9 months, we are back with the mid-season premiere for Season 8, Honor. And again, those of you who are Walking Dead fans, you are up to date on all this stuff. You know the big thing about tonight's episode is that we are going to be saying goodbye to Carl Grimes, Chandler Riggs, who was bitten, and that was revealed at the end of the mid-season finale back in December, I believe it was. So we're going to get right into this. I'm going to be doing not so much of a recap as a review, but I'm going to be touching upon some of the aspects. And I'm going to start off the review by saying that as the return episode and as a big emotional thing they had to deliver to Walking Dead fans, because this character's been around for now 8 seasons and everything else, and I gotta say, they delivered a big, okay, that's probably the best way to put it. I got my handy dandy notepad because we were doing this live in real time because we want to make sure we get it out to you guys. But I want to start off the major portion of it, which was what was the payoff in regards to what was going to happen to Carl. Now, I'll be the first one to admit it's a tough landing to stick when you pretty much know what's going to happen. When you have a character that a lot of the fans love, it's going to be tough. My problem with the episode was it spent way too much time with dying on his deathbed Carl. And I know you might be thinking, well, of course, because he's dying. But they do something in the beginning of the episode that I would have liked to have seen stretched out more, which was we got to see what Carl was like from the time he was bitten until we see essentially the ending of the mid-season finale. There we got a sense of Carl the hero. I mean, it really did a great job of giving us a sense of what it is we should love and respect and honor about Carl and what we're going to miss. Unfortunately, they did that in about the span of 5 minutes, and the remaining of the show was just people coming up and for him to say a lot of really heart-wrenching things to before eventually dying. I don't know, I think it was oddly stretched out. And having the action going on in between, it didn't really seem to gel well. Now, again, I think this is just one of those hurdles they need to get past because the death is going to mean more in the future than it might mean now. But, I found it was a little rough. Not that it wasn't in and of itself some heart-wrenching moments. The conversations between Carl and Michonne, for example, when they talk about being each other's best friends and when he's asking her to promise him that she won't give in to sadness or anger or let this just to eat her up. I thought that was amazingly sweet. The scenes between Riggs and Lincoln, you could tell these are two people who have worked and have gotten to know each other for quite some time. So I think those scenes were really, 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 really great. I love the brief encounter between Daryl and Carl before Daryl left with Judith, where it was nice that Daryl really wanted Carl to know, like, look, all these people here, the ones we're going to be able to take to the Hilltop, they're here and they're alive because of you. That's on you. You get the heroics that come with that. Again, I thought that was a really great scene. Again, I don't want to come across as the heartless guy. I mean, people are like, what? Oh my God, I can't even. I don't want like the responses I got when I was doing Twin Peaks recaps. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, maybe it's because of all the older characters, Carl wasn't one I necessarily so emotionally connected with. And again, because it's the inevitable, 83-minute episode though, where that's the basis for it, it felt just really painfully stretched out. I'm looking forward to the series getting back its stride again next week. Now, a couple of takeaways that I want to talk about and some things that I did like. We did get some serious answers and some forward momentum. We found out what happened with the Sanctuary and how they got out. Apparently, it looks like the Saviors just started laying down heavy fire on walkers in a certain area to create essentially a dead walker barrier and allowed the Saviors to get out and shoot their way out. Morgan was way outgunned, so there really wasn't much that he can do except essentially stalk them. And what Morgan was doing was stalking them to the kingdom, where he ends up meeting up with Carol. And we get the Carol and Morgan team up, and it is just exactly what you would expect. Except Carol is the voice of reason regarding pure on onslaught, and Morgan has just decided to become a one-man version of Negan's Scorched Earth, which is just kill everything in front of you. I can't even imagine. Getting stabbed, I think, is bad enough, but having like a round pole shoved through your sternum, I can't imagine it's going to feel. I mean, it's all going to suck, but I think on a layer of suck, that may suck higher. Just going to say. And the hole when Morgan's twisting the guy's wound. so we see Morgan going off that deep end. But even as all this is going on, you still have Ezekiel who's working on Gavin. And it's just this idea of trying to give Gavin this chance to redeem himself. But Gavin is just one of these people who just seems like, this is how I am, this is how it is, this is what we're going to have to deal with. Well, once Ezekiel kind of says, look, I'm done with you, I've tried, that's when the holy hell, the two horse people, the apocalypse that are Morgan and Carol, just start storming in the remaining areas. And it's very interesting. We have a moment where Ezekiel and Carol are saying to Morgan, like, look, you don't want to do this. And Morgan has his staff, like, right at Gavin's face. And they're saying to Morgan, like, you don't want to do this. You are better than this. In a lot of ways, signifying the argument that Carl is making to his dad, which is this idea of we're better than this. It's not about the killing. It's got to be about what is going to come after this. What are we going to really, truly be about? And Morgan basically says, like, look, I got to do this. I don't have a choice. And in that moment, you realize Morgan gets beaten to it. At first, when I first thought, I was like, oh my God, he's really fast. And then I realized, no, that didn't come from the front. That came from the back, right through Gavin's throat. And it was Henry, young Henry, who had to watch his older brother being killed when he was defending the kingdom, Hilltop, and the rest of the coalition. So Henry got his revenge. And there's a really great moment, which I think signifies the difference between Ezekiel's ability to deal with kids and Carol's long-term problem with dealing with kids. Because Carol's thing is, let me go and start ripping into Henry, where Ezekiel's just like, look, we're all going to get over this. Gives the kid a hug. The kid's really upset. You could tell this is obviously something he doesn't normally do on a regular basis. So again, it's like Carol needs, just keep your kid. Carol is running a daycare center. Do not send your kids there. She does not have a good track record. So again, using my handy-dandy notepads when I make sure I got everything covered. Sadiq. We got to know a little bit more about Sadiq. Sadiq is a medical resident. We see that there's a beautiful scene where Carl's talking to Rick and says, like, look, I didn't, Rick's assumption is because of where Rick's mind is now, it's like, oh, well, you saved him because he was a medical resident. Carl's reminding him, like, no, I saved him because he needed to be saved. He needed to be helped. And essentially nudging his dad, saying, hey, you remember when we did that? A couple seasons ago, when Shane was kind of sane, and then post Shane when we both tag teamed to kill him. It's a nice subtle reminder for the harsher reminders that Carl gives to his dad before he passes on about how things need to be, how they need to get past just this constant war that they keep building and building and building upon. So again, we have Sadiq, who makes a great vow to Carl on his deathbed, basically saying, I will honor you, Carl, and thanks Carl for giving Sadiq an opportunity to honor his mother. And there's a really nice moment where Carl says, thank you. You gave me a chance to honor my mother also. So a really, 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 really good episode. I just want to prove to you that I'm not heartless. I actually jotted down a couple of scenes that I thought were particularly heartbreaking. The scene with Carl and Judith, when he's talking about how she has honor and passes on Rick's hat to her. Come on, that just got me. And the way she just started crying and wanted to get out of there, there was an earnestness and an honesty to it that got me. Again, the scene with Carl and Sadiq I thought was very, very, very touching. And there was a moment where Carl confessed to his father that about during the season at the prison, when Carl killed that boy that was essentially giving up his gun and starting to lower it to the ground, and Carl killed him, and he talked about how easy it was. And I think it's that owning up to it that really convinces Rick at the end to, like, look, I'll try to honor this. I will try to be different. I will try to do things different. And then we see at the end that it's all the dreams that we've been seeing, and I know a lot of us have made the assumption that they're Rick's, that they've been Carl's. And it becomes evident enough, but what is really the biggest eye-opener that I find is at the end you see that Negan is part of this beautiful, expanded Alexandria community that Carl has been envisioning. So you see where this is going. It's going to be a nasty and ugly road to get there, but we see what it is that Carl wants and what Carl's after. So again, there's a lot of great quotes from this episode, I will say that. And again, there were a lot of heart-wrenching, just pulling on the heartstring moments. But I don't know. Good, decent start. If I had to do it on a 1 to 10 scale, I would give it maybe a 6.5. I know there's people that are going to kill me for this. I do love the show. I do love the series. Again, I own up to it. Maybe it has to do with the fact that I wasn't always a big Carl fan. But again, it just seemed like it was, oh wow, we have to deal with another 40 minutes of just watching him progressively get sicker. Where again, I just think it would have been nice to handle different. I do appreciate they gave him the honor of him going out at his own hand. But yeah, it's they moved on from it. I think the death can be a good catalyst for what is to come, especially when the word gets out that Carl's dead. But for now, good, decent, solid start. Nothing that I felt like doing a reaction video, like I'm so heartbroken and wrenched up. Maybe I was expecting too much. But good, decent start. AMC, like I said, good, solid start. I think there's going to be a lot of better things coming up. But for now, yeah, like I said, a 6.5. So thank you guys for joining me for this. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. We're going to be doing something a little different with the live blog. We might be doing it a little later for West Coast people because of the Oscars going on, and I might be doing double duty, but we will keep you guys posted. But until then, please enjoy your night. Whatever you're doing, if you haven't, let me know what's going on with the Elimination Chamber. That would be awesome because I'm going to see if I can catch the ending to it now. But thank you guys for joining me for this recap of The Walking Dead. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. And signing off, enjoy your week.